Cooler Master HAF 932. If you haven't heard of this case before, you need to step out from your fallout shelter, upgrade your Commodore, and continue watching this review. The whole premise of the HAF design is high air flow. It is intended for serious users that want to be able to squeeze the most from their system components without having to worry about heat. The case we're looking at today is the HAF 932 released as a limited edition AMD version. Now, despite the fact that it's labeled as a limited special edition, the case rings in at basically the same price point as the original. This is great news for penny pinchers, but it also tells you there isn't likely to be any radical changes. So to be honest, before we get into things, not much has changed with this revision aside from the general look of the case. But let's dive in and see if it's all for the better. The case is definitely not small, however, as we will say, it makes it the perfect candidate for larger hardware. And despite the fact that it's full of holes, it still weighs 30 pounds. The most striking change is the ATI red front panel, and unfortunately, it's little more than red plastic, resembling something that feels almost like a child's toy. At the bottom, a large and very specific AMD Phenom 2 X4 case badge, which is AMD's current top-end processor line. There are no alternatives or generic case badges included. The front piece comes off for cleaning, but there's no real dust filters to actually clean. Up the front, 6 external drive bays, and the front panel has a full array with USB ports, FireWire, eSATA, along with audio and LEDs. Power and reset buttons are at the top, along with a storage area sort of covered by the rubber that can be taken off to reveal a very handy water cooling port. At the back, a 230mm red LED fan, which can be replaced with two 120mm fans. The side panel is the biggest design change. The original featured an intake 200mm fan with a small and slightly cheesy security window at the top. They've taken it all out to feature a full-fledged window that has a unique graphic featuring AMD's Fusion Dragon logo as well as the company symbol. At the back, there's space for a top-mounted power supply with water cooling holes in the middle, I/O area, a 140mm fan with space for a 120, 7 PCI expansion slots, more venting, and the bottom-mounted power supply area. Skipping to the bottom, we have two 120mm fan spaces, though no dust filters, along with removable feet if you want to attach the included wheels. Jumping right into the case, there's plenty of room for bottom-mounted power supplies, and it supports longer PSUs with this extendable cage that keeps it raised. There are 6 sideways mounted hard drive bays using Cooler Master's excellent sled system. Then at the front, another 230mm red LED intake fan. At the back, the toolless PCI clips, the 140mm exhaust fan, and at the front, the toolless 5 1/4" drive bays using the Cooler Master button system. Up at the very top, our second power supply area, but you will have to take out the top 200mm fan to use it. As is becoming common on the motherboard tray, they've included a CPU backplate opening, and as we'll see with the HAF's punched out back, there is just about an inch of room for cables, making it very easy for wiring. The motherboard tray includes plenty of cable management spacing and supports the standard sized boards, including the larger eATX form factor. As you can see at the back of the case, right over the tray and cable spaces, they've pushed the back panel out to allow for more cable wiring, and the drive bays are inset a good inch to allow for cable storage. There shouldn't be any problems wiring this thing up. And one of the more disappointing features for this case was, despite the fact that they've added a full side window, supposedly so you can see inside in your handiwork, the interior is still this very drab gray. We've recently seen the move for a bunch of cases to well-painted black interiors, and even a lot without. As we move on to the installation, the HAF 932 really begins to stand out. Cooler Master's toolless drive caddy system has always been a personal favorite. It's simple to install and fairly secure. ROM drive installation is again a breeze. The covers can be taken off without removing the whole front panel, and the drive just slides in and clicks into place. With expansion cards, the plastic retention clips do work fine to hold hardware in, but it's probably not a bad idea to remove them and use screws if you want something more secure. And with 13 inches of space for video cards, fitting the ridiculous cards like the 12.5-inch ATI 5970 will not be a problem. One thing to love about this case is that Cooler Master has done a great job with cable layout. Nearly everything can be kept in behind the motherboard tray with just a little creative positioning. And for us messy cablers, the back panel has no trouble fitting back over top of a rat's nest. For the most part. This all keeps the front clear, looking very clean and sharp, and perfect for airflow. A quick note as we pass the back, on our particular Core i7 motherboard, the mounting holes don't quite line up. Now this case was designed before Intel's Core series went mainstream, so the issue is forgivable, but it may cause a bit of a headache. A standout feature of the 932 is its unprecedented water cooling options. Its large size and wide interior allow for easy placement of tubing and extras, and as far as radiators go, there's a bunch of different options. You can place a single radiator at the rear, or depending on your power supply placement, you can fit a dual 120mm rad at the bottom of the case, or have one up at the top either on the inside or outside. Now with a name like HAF, temperatures and cooling are clearly the focus, so we had to put this case to the test. And that wraps up our look at the Cooler Master HAF 932 AMD Edition. Now because nothing has really changed with the basic layout of the case, all the original pros and cons still apply. The cooling and airflow is still superb and relatively quiet even with the loss of a giant fan. The construction is excellent and Cooler Master has designed an interior layout that sets the bar for water cooling and usability. Now we still lament the lack of dust filters, and unfortunately the rest of the downsides all revolve around the look. So here's my take. When it comes down to it, a limited edition promotional item should be something unique, something special, and something that offers more than the rest. Now, I would imagine that someone who would be interested in purchasing a limited edition type of case wouldn't be shy to spend the extra money to get something special that really shows itself off. A little more time and a little more investment would have been well worth it to see some improvements on things like a black interior and a better quality and color of front panel. Now to their credit, the side panel design is very eye-catching and well done. It's not just some cheap slap-on sticker. Ultimately, I could be completely off base, because in reality, beauty is all in the eyes of the beholder. If you like what AMD and Cooler Master have done with the case, then you get the almost famous benefits of the HAF 932 in a design that breaks the mold of the other who knows how many cases out there. So thanks for checking out our Hardware Canucks product showcase on the Cooler Master HAF 932 AMD Limited Edition case. And if you like our videos, definitely subscribe and don't forget to check out www.hardwarecanucks.com. Thanks for watching.